From ClarkWoods.com, this is Horribly Off Topic, number 49, with Chris and Steve.
Oh, is that the name of the episode? With Chris and Steve?
With Chris and Steve. No, that's...
We've run out of ideas.
We've run out of ideas. We ran out of ideas in, like, episode 2, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's
Actually, no, I think episode 3 was where we have hit our peak.
We hit our peak,
and then it's just been downhill.
Poop, that was no, not poop. It was pee. It was pee and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That was our peak.
Yeah. It's never going to get any better than that.
Never, ever, ever, ever. Steve, how do you feel about traffic?
I think we've talked about this before, but I was like, I just don't understand. Like, there could be prevention of traffic. Like,
there could be.
Like, I was driving home last night. I met a good friend, Leo, out for some drinks after he got out of work. I didn't work yesterday.
Right.
And I was driving up 495 back home when I was done. And there was just 2 sections of the highway where they put down to 1 lane. Mm-hmm. And both times I'm like, should I get off the highway here and go a different way?
Yeah.
And like, both times I ignored my instinct and was like, then immediately hit traffic.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. So
I think you have good instincts, Steve. I think you should trust your instincts.
I'm going to next time. I'm going to get off the highway next time. Because, like, this is areas that I was familiar with. Because, like, we met down in Framingham. We both went to college there.
Right.
But I was, driving through Marlboro, where I used to live. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm getting local for you.
Get local for you!
All right, so, yeah, so I'm driving through an area that I'm familiar with, and I could find my way back to the highway if need be, or just go home a different way than the highway. What I would like, and maybe if there's a Massachusetts representative or anybody that listens to this show, which I severely doubt,
yeah,
why would they listen to their citizens?
I was going to name check Marty Meehan, but he doesn't work for us anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he retired.
Been a long time, yeah.
So
been a long time since a rock and roll.
Don't quit your day job.
Don't quit your day job.
Ugh, stop it. Don't have that leak into this.
All right, sorry. You were why would representatives listen to their people?
Yeah, but like, so if you're going to have like this thing, this road construction where you're shutting down all the lanes, how about like one of those signs that flashes and says don't text and drive?
Yeah.
Instead of having that, because people know that already.
And they ignore it.
Yeah. How about having a message that's like relevant to the situation? Hey, we're shutting down the lane, going down to 1 lane after exit number whatever.
Right.
If you're local, then find a different route. If you're not, then stay on the highway. And then maybe, just maybe, enough people will get off the highway so everybody that's still on the highway has an easy time, and then maybe not. Because people just...
I think a concerned citizen needs to take this into their own hands, because, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the memes out there of people who have taken those signs, reprogrammed them to say zombie attack in 5 miles or whatever they might decide to put on there. I think we need a sort of a Batman of the highways whose mission in life
is to get people out of traffic, to get...
I think so. Traffic man.
Yeah.
Traffic man.
That is a modern superhero that could succeed in this world.
Who would play Traffic Man?
Like in a movie?
In a movie.
I don't know.
Yeah. We can't say Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is playing Ant-Man.
I know that.
But he would be good.
Will
Ferrell could be Traffic Man. He's already Anchorman. Right?
Yeah, no. He's already Anchorman.
Anyway, we need a Traffic Man.
Yeah, that, and well, the thing is, like, if I just had a warning, like, instead of having to rely on intuition in the fact that we might have traffic coming up.
Yeah.
Maybe just give me a little heads up.
A little heads up.
I mean, other places I've been to and states I've driven through have had that sort of warning.
Yeah.
And since I was, from out of state, and I'm like, I don't know the back roads, I don't know a way around, so I'm just going to go. But they give you the heads up, and it's nice, and I appreciate it. Yeah. Like, Massachusetts, get your head out of your ass and give us a heads up if there's going to be traffic, like, at 10:30 at night.
That would be nice. It would be nice. somehow this was related in my brain. I think when you mentioned the being local versus not being local, we were driving to the wedding that I mentioned last episode. We were driving to the wedding, and the traffic in Chelmsford Center was redonkulous, and
as it often is.
And my mom sort of decided to take an alternate route to get to where we were going, and I was trying to explain to my wife, to Stephanie, that this is just a part of living in Chelmsford, and in particular living near the center of town, that we all just learn every possible way to get around that clusterfuck of 5 roads,
converging into
one. And I almost feel my girls were asking me. My daughters. We were out in the car, and they were asking me about when I got my license. I almost feel as if living in this town, in particular, you should, getting around the center should be part of the driving test. Like you shouldn't be allowed to pass until you know how the hell to get around the center without actually going through the center.
Yeah. So look, check out Google Maps if you want to really get into Chelmsford Center.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, it used to be like back when I was younger. There didn't used to be lights there.
I think it was better without the lights.
It was like it was like an 8-way stop.
It was like an 8-way stop, yeah.
And it was just like, Gah.
Yeah. No, my cousins were afraid when they were first getting their licenses to come driving through that. They called it Chicken Corner. Was one of the things that they called it. I don't know where that came from.
See, I grew up in North Chelmsford,
right?
So, or at least around the time when I started to drive.
Yeah.
And we were my first driving class or whatever. I had to go on the rotary. Those of you in other parts of the country know it as a roundabout.
A roundabout. Rotary is a much better name.
Yeah, rotary is just a circle-y thing that, and I was sort of shitting my pants, being literally, on one of my driving tests.
Literally shit your pants.
Yeah. It was one of my few instances where I legit shit my pants in real life.
Yeah.
You could say, oh my God, I shit my pants because that was so crazy. No, I didn't really. But I was so nervous about driving when I first started doing it. One of my second drive, there wasn't tests. There was the driving lessons.
Yeah. You'd gotten your permit, and now
now I'm going with the driving school, and the guy picks me up, and he was a jerk off. He was
a lot of the guys.
He was really.
Did you go to Chelmsford Auto School?
Yeah.
A lot of those guys.
He was sort of a tubby man.
Yes. Yeah, mine wasn't a tubby man. He was all right. He was not.
I eventually got a different guy with my road lessons, and he was much better. And he kind of made it so he was like, driving isn't as crazy as this guy
was making it out to be.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so going back to the first because I'm pulling out of my street. And if he says take a left, then that's going away from the rotary. If he says take a right, he's basically saying go to the rotary.
Right.
And I usually hate taking a left, especially out of that street. It was a pain in the ass to take a left.
Yes.
You I imagine had driven me there so many times.
I remember which street you're talking about. Yeah.
Because I would bum a ride off of you after school.
That was the downside of having younger friends and of being friends with a lot of my brother's friends was I was the first person to have a car and a license, and I drove everybody everywhere.
Yep. even me. Well, I walked, so I didn't realize I didn't have to, but I had walked. And so, I would never want to walk home, and then I'd be like, Chris, can you give me a ride? And you'd be like, no, get out of here.
Wait, Chris, can you please? All right.
It's raining out. Come on. All right. Well, yeah, then, so, of course he says take a right. And I'm like, no. And so the first thing I had to do in my first driving lesson was to
a right or a left? Oh, right. Heading towards the rotary.
Heading towards the rotary.
Yeah.
Was a right, and then also taking a little trip around. But now that is also a clusterfuck.
It is, yeah.
Because it is
much better the way it was.
I mean, as much as it was sucky as a rotary, it's dumb now.
I can't ever get into the right lane to get onto coming up North Road. There's like what 4 roads that
We're really getting local
we
for
are
you.
gonna lose. There's like 4 roads and Route 3, the sort of one of the major highways that all converge there. And coming up North Road headed towards the Rotary, I can't ever get into the correct lane to get onto Route 3.
Who was the urban planner that thought up this?
I don't know.
Again, check out Google Maps for this clusterfuck of a rotary, or
But-
what was once a rotary. Now it's like 4 little clusters
It's
of lights.
stupid. Yeah, 4 clusters of dumb. But in terms of urban planning, and going back to your original point about traffic, if you have been coming down Chelmsford Street, which is one of the streets that comes into the center of town, they have had, over the past few days, those big light up signs warning that the 4th of July parade is happening on the 4th of July.
See, that is something that I would appreciate.
From 9 to 2,
Unless
the
you're-
center will be closed, and it's on almost every road going into the center, at least coming from the north.
So unless you're like living under a rock,
Yeah.
because that's a big thing every year in
Living under a rock.
No, in the town of Chelmsford is the 4th of July.
I hear that ISIS lives under a rock.
What?
Sorry.
I think it was Moss lives under a rock. Literal Steve.
Literal Steve. Here comes literal Steve. Bump.
Look out, Chris has a song in his heart. What the fuck was that?
Make it a bit. So we're just gonna.
That was a bit?
Well, not a bit, like a reusable song.
You're gonna remember that in the future?
Yeah, literal Steve. Here comes literal Steve. Bump.
I wish I had something like brick shaped to throw at your head.
Well, there's a dollhouse over there you could throw into the beds.
That is brick shaped,
It is brick shaped,
but it's kind of longer.
it is a little bit longer.
What's going on now? So now I have 4 boxes of unopened cereal.
Jesus. I was saying I could try to find a way to make an edit point and cut that out. And I was like, the day, there have been a few episodes where I have cut things out, but I've never cut out the things that were like, oh, we should cut that out. So did you go to the 4th? We were talking about the 4th of July before I hit pause. I was just to break the 4th wall. My kids are a room away, and I was afraid that they were burning down the house, and I needed to pause.
Watch out! You might get what you're after. Cool babies.
Ah, fuck!
You don't know the song.
No, I do know the song. I just couldn't remember any of the parts.
Strange but not a stranger. I'm an ordinary guy.
I can't remember.
Burning down the house. That's the name of the song. That's the next line. I left it just for you.
We have to go to karaoke sometime so I can prove that I actually can fucking sing.
Okay.
I can sing. It's possible. I just don't a lot. 4th of July. Did you go to the parade?
I've been like when I was in my youth, and like there was a time where I was living right in the center, so I couldn't help but go to the parade.
Yeah. It's harder to. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I always liked because they. I don't know about your town. I'm trying to make this relevant to other people.
Well, a lot of town. Well, not every town, but usually within like driving distance, there's some kind of parade. I would say. I mean, it's a pretty big holiday.
Yeah, so like if there's a parade, but like I liked the stuff on the 3rd of July. So 4th wall removed. We're recording this on the 2nd,
right?
So tomorrow, in the future, and then when this releases,
the past,
3 days in the past. Like on the 3rd of July, they usually have a little thing, like where they block off one of the streets,
right.
And they have like all the local shops have like a little, well, not necessarily shops, but like the different
shops and organizations
like Cub Scouts, and like,
some of the churches,
and
the alumni association from the high school.
They get some, they run in some carny folk.
Yeah.
And they have like
bands in the
lemonade,
past,
some
like,
hot sausages.
Yes, I got a hot sausage.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
they have the town erection there, where you can stand near it.
I always liked that because I liked the art show. The art show, which I think still happens over in what used to be ages and ages ago a town hall and is now the arts center. They have an art show in there every year, and I entered a few times in my misspent youth before teachers in college killed the desire to draw in me. And it's always fun to go in there and see what people in the community are cooking up, and most of it's your stereotypical sort of landscapes and not good stuff, serviceable stuff, not strange. But then you'll see something that's just amazing. So I love the art show. We do have. I mean, we mentioned it before, but we do have a famous artist from Chelmsford,
Mr.
Lance Wilder.
Yes, look him up. I'm not even saying it again.
Yeah, no. And he did a show in there for the 4th of July a few years ago. There was a big gallery of his stuff that was in there. Yeah, no, I like that. Is music regular? I can't remember. My grandmother and I used to have this conversation. I can't remember if music was something that is there all the time or it's just there some years. Or
I think like in recent years, as far as like stuff on the 3rd of July. Oh, I thought there was a burp there. I was getting ready for it. There has been music and bands and whatnot.
Okay, yeah.
But before that, I think when I was a kid, there it is. When I was a kid,
right,
it was just like the local businesses and
right.
clubs. What are we back or something?
We're back. Oh goodness! All right,
we're just having a little technical difficulty.
A little bit
today.
of technical difficulties today. So
we are professional.
Professional. What was when you see a parade? I mean, we'll try to take.
I can't remember the last time I actually sat and watched a parade because, like literally, I think maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
Probably 20 years ago. Really? I think I might have been a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad to think that 20 years ago was when I was a teenager.
Well, I think we might have taken a little bit of time off in the college years or somewhere around there. We've gone pretty consistently, and especially since we had the kids, we've gone consistently because it's a thing that kids like. Don't like the heat. I mean, that was what sucked back when we were kids. Was there are only so many places to sit along the parade route, and I don't know if this is true in the towns of our listeners, but many of those places are not shaded, and so some years it would be okay, and other years
you got to bring one of those giant beach umbrellas though, attach it to your chair,
and then
and then like chain it to a fence or whatever because that's what people do so people don't take their chairs.
Yeah, and then there were already today, as we said before, we're recording on the 2nd, and there were already some chairs out along the parade route.
Are they like bolted down? Because like
no, they were.
I'm sure there's like because I mean, I didn't personally do any of this when I was a younger kid, but
no, you just stole donuts.
Yeah, but
all right, sorry, yeah.
But like we were up to hijinks, and that was just up our alley, but I think we just didn't bother. Yeah. I mean, like we one of my favorite things we used to do was go to CVS or something like that and get like a package of Necco wafers.
Okay.
And Necco wafers are, I think they have them everywhere, but they're made locally in Cambridge, Massachusetts, I believe. And it's also the same company that makes those hearts on Valentine's Day.
Yes. Yep.
And it's the same chalky, gross flavor of those things.
And the smell of that have you ever been near the factory?
No.
The factory is near, within walking distance of the Lechmere stop on the Green Line, which is it's one of those weird. It's the only stop on the Green Line I think that is in Cambridge.
Okay.
Because it goes over the river and through the woods. But not.
I was going to say that, but then I chose not to.
But if you got off there, the smell is just intense and not very good.
Is it like sickeningly sweet?
No, it's almost like rotten sweet. Like it's whatever the fumes that are coming off of that.
So we're not going to have Necco or the Necco company.
No, I don't think so.
Sponsor us anytime soon.
No, probably.
But yeah, we used to get Necco wafers, and Necco wafers are slightly larger than a quarter.
Yes.
And back in the day, kids, when you wanted to make a phone call, you had to use a thing called a payphone.
Yes.
So you had to take like a dime or a quarter, and sometimes I think back when we were kids, you could actually use a dime to make a phone call,
I think
local
you could,
call.
yeah.
But a dime or a quarter into the machine, you dial the number on it, and then you put your head up to something that's probably really gross, and you talk to somebody.
Yeah, nobody knows where that receiver has been.
Yes, probably up some homeless guy's ass.
Have you heard Man's Assumption? No, you don't follow it. Merlin Mann, a guy whose podcast I listen to, they came up with a term.
Manfred Mann?
Nope, Merlin Mann.
Oh.
Merlin Mann. Man's assumption is when you enter a hotel room, assume that everything in the room
has jizz on it?
No, that could possibly fit in someone's butt has been up someone's butt. And I think the same is also...
Man, someone could have put that white fluffy robe I was wearing last week up their ass.
I think the same
It
is
smelled
also,
clean, though.
It smelled It did not smell like a Necco factory.
Yes. But yeah, we used to jam Necco wafers into the payphone so you couldn't get a quarter in anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I imagine what the hell? It was Verizon, and then before it was Verizon, it was like Bell Atlantic.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
I don't remember.
it was some other, like, New England Telephone.
Ah,
We're the one for you, New England. New England Telephone. Yeah, it was New England Telephone. I'm sure, like, it might have been that when we were kids.
Yeah,
So they were probably rip shit at us.
probably.
Because they had to send technicians down to get Necco wafers stuck out of the friggin' payphones.
As were the people who, and I won't say the first two digits because I think you mentioned once that it was a real number. I remember learning from you guys, the same group of hoodlums, that there was a number you could dial in town that began with two numbers and ended with a bunch of zeros.
Yes.
And
so 5 zeros.
5 zeros.
So anybody could
it'd
figure
be
this out.
XXO. 0000 is not in service at this time.
Yeah, but like it was like a phone. It was like
Just a
phone
lady.
sex for us when we were kids. She'd be like, oh, and
That's right. There was
because there was a slight upward tick on the last
on the
O.
last O, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, no, I just came.
Yeah, no. So I don't know if I ever. So it's been years and years and years since you saw a parade. But did you have a?
Oh wait,
favorite?
no.
Oh,
I was in a parade.
You were
like
in a-
there was like I was helping some like it was I was.
you might have been in the
I was-
parade with us way back when we did.
No,
the
I'm
Memorial
saying
Day
like
parade.
as like maybe
as an adult.
17, 18,
Okay.
something like that because
Yeah.
I was helping some dude run for Congress, like actually against Marty Meehan, just
Oh,
because
okay.
I was just
Yeah.
like whatever.
because you were a contrarian
Yes,
or a libertarian,
I don't know,
same thing.
whatever. He didn't win, surprisingly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we held up signs and whatnot in the parade, and it sucked.
Those are my least favorite parts of the parade because
when it's just congressmen, like with
yeah,
their
I mean
signs.
all the political things, regardless of sides, regardless of whether or not it's somebody that I would vote for or the rest of my family would vote for. I just, I think the Independence Day, 4th of July, as with it's the holiday where that rule about not talking about politics or religion is the hardest because it's a day celebrating the founding of our country, and we go to parades where there are tons of people out there looking for our vote, and you can't help but eventually get into some kind of, whether it's an out and out argument or it's just snide remarks under your breath to one another, you start to the tension starts to build, I feel, when the politicians are walking by in the parade. So I just wish they would do away with that.
See, that's funny.
altogether.
It's funny that you say that, and you said you didn't listen to it, but I listened to Mark Maron's podcast interviewing Barack Obama.
Yes.
And I have to, but before I say what I'm going to say, I have to just give you some shit because weren't you working on that?
I was working on getting the president on the show, but he is apparently a bigger fan of Girl Scouts than us. No, Girl Scouts, brownies. I don't know. Did you see he had a group hug on the lawn with all the Girl Scouts who were camping out there? That was the thing this week.
What?
All right, so you listen to Mark Maron.
So the president was basically, well, he and the president were having it was a pretty good conversation. Everybody made a big deal out of it because the president dropped the N word
on the podcast.
on the podcast.
Okay, I know he'd been dropping it here, and was that where he dropped it and that was the big deal, or was
I
it
think
someone else?
that was where he dropped it, and that was
Okay.
the big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a black guy. I think it's okay.
I think he's allowed to. I'm gonna pause for a second there, and this is a problem I don't have a solution to. But when I hear people in positions of power or just newscasters or whatever, and they talk about it as the N-word, I mean,
I don't like it either, but I don't like saying it.
I don't think they should. Yeah, they probably shouldn't say it, but just say, when they start referring to the N-word.
I'm not in my car. I'm not in traffic. I'm gonna say the N-word.
Yeah, I whatever. Anyway, so the president was on Mark Maron, and I have just added it to my podcast queue. I have a follow up about podcasts if we get there. But go ahead about.
But yeah,
Mark
so
Maron.
they were having a conversation basically, and it was very similar to what you just said. That if people are like, if you're talking to someone and you don't know their political ideology, you just have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And then whatever. And then you talk about what's important to you and they talk about what's important to them. But then, but if you go into a conversation
Yeah.
with like, here's my elephant, whatever, sticker on my shirt. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate liberals, blah, 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 blah. If you go into something like that.
Or my donkey.
Or your donkey on your butt. I used to interesting story. I used to tell people I worked with when I worked at Hannaford's that I had a tattoo. Like this is stealing from Beavis and Butthead, but I had a tattoo of an ass
On your ass?
on my ass. So I had a tattoo of an ass, a donkey on my ass, and the donkey had a tattoo of an ass, a buttocks on my ass on my ass. And for the longest time, people believed me. And I'm like, yep.
You're a believable guy.
Thanks.
All right, what were you saying?
I always thought I was some sort of bullshit artist. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so if you gotta like, if you're just screaming, this is what I believe in, then you're instantly creating an adversarial relationship.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, people just talk to each other like normal human beings do, and then maybe we can get to some sort of compromise instead of just saying, hey, I'm this party and I believe in this, and I'm this and I believe in that.
Right.
How about have a conversation and then come to a consensus? Hey, I believe in this, and this person believes in that, and let's try to get somewhere from those two things.
And that's what the president and Mark Maron were talking about?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it was more than just him dropping the end. It was actually a really good interview.
Yeah.
It was funny every once in a while. Mark would finish the president's sentences because when a president talks, they are very deliberate.
Yes.
And sometimes I do it with words like
Yes.
trying to search for the next word. But I think presidents are a little bit more deliberate with the way they speak, so
Right.
they're a little bit slower. And so he's talking a little bit more, but Mark kept on finishing his sentences. He's like, yeah, this. And because he's like, I got an hour and I want to talk to you about as much as I can. So he's just like, pep, 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 pep.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute. I'm just kind of just rudely. Because like I also listened to, like he was on Opie and Jim. And I listened to that.
The president was?
No,
Or Mark Maron.
Mark Maron
Okay.
was.
Opie
then
and Jim with the president.
That would have been hilarious.
would have happened, but that would have been hilarious.
Or us with the president. That would be like after he finishes in office, we should try to get him.
You should
We just like get us each a couple of drinks, and we'll just talk about superhero movies,
Yes,
and video games
and basketball.
And
I'll
try to learn a little bit about basketball.
We got to throw him a bone. He's
Yeah.
a basketball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's kind of a nerdy guy too, though.
Yeah.
I imagine he'll.
Anybody who looks a little bit like Alfred E. Newman. I mean, he's got the big ear.
I could talk about quitting smoking and with
I was
him.
gonna say, quitting smoking would be a good topic. I don't. I talk about having two daughters. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean yours are a little younger, but that
I could ask for some advice.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, Prez, yo, Prez,
Yo, what's up?
that's racist.
It's not.
That's our president.
That's our president. I'm not. I can't say yo, what's up.
I
can't. No,
I don't think that would be appropriate.
it's not appropriate.
I don't even think you should say that to either of the Bushes.
Either of the Bush.
I'm trying to who's still alive? Jimmy Carter's still alive.
Is he still alive?
I think so.
Oh yeah. I think he's still alive.
I think it'd be okay with that. Be like,
yo,
Prez.
Yo, Carter.
Hey, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter. Welcome back.
From where?
From obscurity. No.
Shut up. He's doing a lot of good work,
He has
like
done
building
he
houses
has-
and
He
shit.
has done a lot of great work since leaving. I mean, he probably would have continued to do great work had he not
Lost to a very charismatic.
a very charismatic president.
Yes.
Named Ronnie Reagan,
Yes.
who is in apparently
Who's dead?
who is dead. He's in Wet Hot American Summer, the Netflix series.
What?
You didn't see that?
I did see that,
he's,
but, like,
he's
it
or,
looked like
or
Michael-
not the president himself, but
It
somebody
looked like
playing-
Michael Showalter.
Michael Showalter is playing not only the character he played in the original Wet Hot American Summer, he's also playing President Reagan.
Yes.
Why President Reagan ends up at that camp? I mean,
Well,
I'm assuming he ends up at the camp, and how they've forgotten about the fact that the president visited by the time that the movie takes place.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, the prequel series is coming out to Netflix, and by nature of the word prequel, that means it takes place before the movie, even though it's being filmed, 20? No. 15, 10?
It might be almost 20. Well, yeah, I'd say 15 because I think
we'll say
I think
15.
they shot it in like either 2000 or 2001.
Okay. Yeah.
So all the actors, I mean, I think they got everybody
It certainly looks like it.
except for I think Jake Fogelnest, who was the guy that was the host of Squirt, or was it Squirt TV on MTV?
Can't remember. Maybe.
Somebody's gonna yell at me if I got it wrong.
I'm putting our research department on it.
Okay, so
You continue with your.
So we just did a little bit of research there, and yes, Jake Fogelnest was the host of Squirt TV,
Yeah.
and the person that I think replaced him in the prequel series on Netflix is Jason Schwartzman.
Okay. So you think that's the. We're ready.
Are we?
Are we?
Well, so we've been having a little bit of full disclosure, a little technical difficulties today, but hopefully a computer restart and us talking again will
We'll
clear
do
it
the
up.
trick. Yeah.
And luckily, we're recording this early, so that'll give you a little bit more time
a little bit more time to
fiddle
piece
around.
it all together.
Yes.
So we were saying, you think Schwartzman is playing the same character as
It's
what's his
Jake
name?
Fogelnest.
Jake Fogelnest. Do we have any way of confirming that?
I don't know. Just
I don't know.
we could have looked it up while we were having technical difficulties.
We could have looked it up. So the trailer came out today, and I will link that in the show notes, which are at clarkwoods.com/hot/49. And so Schwartzman was Greg. The research department. Thank you, Grace. The research department is telling me that.
You have a
Schwartzman is
woman
playing
named
Greg.
Grace on staff.
I do.
I didn't know
Yeah.
we have a staff. Like
we do have.
we don't make any money doing this. How do we have a staff?
Grace, could you get Steve a check there? He's supposed
check?
to get Steve a check. He's saying he still hasn't got any money. Thank you, Grace. Have you seen?
We're doing a radio drama now.
Have you seen? What is it called? Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yes, I've seen the movie, not the play.
Okay, I haven't seen the play either. Grace is the name of not Walter Matthau. Is it Walter Matthau? No. Yeah, Walter Matthau. The character.
No, it's
he
Jack
plays-
Lemmon.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jack Lemmon.
Lemon.
So Jack Lemmon's character, when he's trying to sound like he's at a bigger office or he's a bigger deal than he is, will call off the phone. He'll put his hand over the thing and go, Grace. Grace is his assistant, who doesn't really exist.
Always be closing.
Always be closing. And so the thing that got me about the trailer,
yes,
was Paul Rudd. I mean, Paul Rudd is what got me about the first bit. They're all funny, but Paul Rudd
he's just a mega asshole in that film.
he is, and he's not everywhere else.
Yeah, he's usually the nice guy or the friend or the. What was it? The first movie I ever saw with him was, I think, called Overnight Delivery.
Oh, really?
And it had what's her butt? The blonde from Legally Blonde.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was the two of them going cross country trying to deliver like a package to his girlfriend, which is the girl that's married to Ben Stiller,
Yeah.
who was on Hey Dude.
Hey Dude. Don't remember.
But she was in the Dodgeball movie.
I feel like I first saw him. I think he showed up on Friends, which might have been the first place that I saw him, but I might have seen him before that because I think he was a big deal before he was on Friends.
I tried, because what did Friends come out, like 1993? 94, something like
94, thereabouts.
All right, so I was 14 or 15
Yeah.
at the time, and so like Friends came out, and I was like, "Oh, I need to watch this, right? This is important."
You see,
I tried watching. I did not like it. This was not me in my contrarian ways.
No,
I actually was like, "This seems socially relevant. I should try to watch it," and I didn't. But the shows that were around it, I really did like.
Yeah.
Because it was on like Thursdays, and wasn't Seinfeld on?
Seinfeld was on,
and News Radio.
Yeah. It would. I feel like it's a divisive series. Was it socially relevant? I think it might have been to an extent, but I think it was also a very whitewashed show. I mean, I think
white.
Looking back on it, it's a very white show. I also think that I was. Well, personality-wise and timing-wise, I was more well-positioned to like it than you would have been. I feel like it had just started when I went off to college. It was like maybe a year in or so.
Yeah.
I think it's the same reason why, and I'm not a huge X-Files fan, but I got into the X-Files in college because there were these communal viewing parties down in the dorm, not the dorm room, the common rooms of the dorms that my friends lived in.
I've watched the X because I didn't watch it when it aired originally, and I've watched it on streaming video service that we referred to earlier.
Yeah,
but I like it. I like it just fine. But I don't know. I if it was more of a time and a place thing, I probably would like it more. And I don't dislike either of the actors. And
right.
They're interesting storylines sometimes, and watching it now is a lot more fun because then you occasionally get to see like an actor that is relevant now. I saw an episode where Ryan Reynolds was in it.
Oh, really?
And I was like, whoa, I know him.
Yeah, where did he come from? Yeah. Yeah, so I did look at research department. Thank you, Grace.
Stop it.
Research department tells me that while Schwartzman's character is named Greg, John Fogelnest's character was
Jake Fogelnest.
Jake Fogelnest's character was named Silas.
Okay, so no, it's not the same guy.
The same character.
So did someone else have the same question?
What's that?
Did someone else have the same question?
No, I just went to IMDb and compared the character names.
Okay, so maybe this is just a character that leaves before the last day of camp.
A new guy, old guy. Paul Rudd. So in the trailer, Paul Rudd also doing the press tour for Ant-Man, which is coming out July 17th, so a couple weeks.
In theaters, go to see it, get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
Hardly Off Topic is not sponsored by Ant-Man.
It's not sponsored
but we wish we were.
Because I think Ant-Man will be... we talked about Age of Ultron, and we both liked it.
Yeah.
You maybe liked it a little bit less than I did.
Well, you have a boner for Marvel,
I do have a boner for Marvel. Big old boner for Marvel.
I wouldn't say big old.
No, it's sizable.
Oh, jeez.
But Paul Rudd as the hero in a Marvel movie is actually a pretty interesting proposition. And everything I've seen of him, live from the set, somebody doing an interview up to this point, has seemed like he was having a grand old time, and just being Paul Rudd. He went on this, he's on the press tour, that stupid junket where the actors are all forced to sit in a black room and be interviewed by one person after another, which seems like the most moronic way to spend a day, getting asked the same questions.
Do you realize how much money he makes playing that character?
I do not know.
I would sit in a room and have people ask me dumb questions for a day.
Okay.
Gladly.
To make that much money.
Yes.
All right, sure. But I imagine even if you're happy to do it, it's still kind of aggravating at times. He found a way to amuse himself, and I will throw this video into the show notes, by the chair that he was sitting on.
Oh, the chair.
The chair was leather, and he could imperceptibly sort of move in the chair just a little bit, which is what imperceptibly means, I think, or close enough.
Well, you're the teach.
He would move in the chair and it would make a farting noise.
Ah.
And it really threw off the interviewer, is what it seemed. That it really threw off the interviewer, and I found it to be hilarious because it was Paul Rudd just being Paul Rudd, even though he's playing a quote unquote superhero. Like,
but like Tony Stark is a sarcastic ass.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
so.
Well, what I think is great, right, is that by bringing someone like Paul Rudd in, that when eventually Robert Downey Jr. is just sick of doing these things, you've still got that the kind of comedic presence there, the guy who can lighten a scene, but also is a good actor as well, a good serious actor, so that they're not forgetting what their franchise was built on, which was Robert Downey Jr. being the perfect Tony Stark, and I feel like Paul Rudd is a pretty damn good Scott Lang. Who is the Ant-Man that he plays?
See, okay, so I never read Ant-Man. I don't think I ever.
I did not read a ton of Ant-Man either. I was aware that there were two primary Ant-Men. There was Hank Pym, who was the original, and there was Scott Lang, who came later. And that's basically all I'm aware of. And I've read up a little bit since then. Scott Lang was a criminal, which factors into what's happening with the movie. And I think there's a bit more of an age difference. So Michael Douglas is playing Hank Pym. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about it. In the same way that I didn't really know that much about the version of Guardians of the Galaxy, that team that came out last summer. The Guardians of the Galaxy that I read in the 90s was not at all the team that they made the movie about. So while I have the sort of massive boner for Marvel, I don't know that much about Ant-Man, and the fact that it's Paul Rudd is part of what is charming about it.
See, one of the things that you said, I remember when I was over here the other day, like before we recorded the last show.
Yeah.
We were watching, I think it was actually Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
On the TV.
Yes.
With commercials and all.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing that a lot lately, and it's aggravating me. Like, why am I doing this? I could probably find this not with commercials and then, like, better version, and then,
Yeah.
So, whatever. My dad used to do it, and now I'm turning into my dad.
Watching things with commercials.
Yeah, because, like...
Even though in his case he probably had the VHS, or in your case you have the DVD, the
yeah,
Blu-ray,
so I walk...
or the streaming video.
I used to, when I was still living at home, I'd walk downstairs, and I'd be like, hey, Pop, what's going on? He'd be watching, like... Let's just say Running Man or whatever, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And I'm like, Pop, you have this movie. Like, why are you watching it on TV? You could watch it, like, unedited, because this is a rated R movie.
Yep.
Unedited and without commercial interruption by simply placing the DVD into the player over there.
Right.
And he was just like,
it's on.
And now I'm doing it. So I'm like... I guess I can't talk anymore.
I can't stand commercials. So I mean, the fact that we're now living we're living
in a
with
world.
We're living with in my parents' house where there is cable, and so sometimes I do watch TV with commercials. But when it comes back to it, my first choice is always to go to my Apple TV, where I can either watch a movie that I've bought, or I can turn on a streaming video service and watch it without commercials. That's always my go-to. And if I have to, I go to cable. But yeah, I don't want to be that guy. Except in rare cases, like as not a social experiment, but as an experiment to see where do they bleep things and what do they overdub in movies with foul language.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, but like the Big Lebowski, the TV edit version, like the part where Walter is beating the crap out of the dude's or some guy's car.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is what happens, Larry, when you find a stranger in the Alps. And so, that was... a pretty excellent overdub.
Pretty good.
They didn't just beep it. Like, I think they just remove... And, like, the guy... Like, when the dude is, like, driving back from Pasadena, like, in the cab, and he's like, I had a real tough night, and I hate the Eagles. And he just takes the fucking part out of there. And then the guy's like, get out of my peaceful cab!
Which of their movies was it? Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Was on one of the streaming video services a weekend or two ago, and I was watching that. What killed me is I had to run off to, I forget what I was doing, maybe picking someone up at the airport or dropping someone off, or I don't know what it was, but I had to leave, and I missed the last 15 minutes of the movie. Stephanie, who hadn't been watching the movie, sat there and watched the last 15 minutes of the movie. And
You've seen it before, right?
I've seen it before.
Oh.
Basically, spoilers. I got as far as when they go back to the shack to get her wedding ring, I think.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
It starts to flood, and they are all floating in the water, and I forget what happens after that. But
I mean, it's supposed to be just a different telling of like the
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that movie, as far as Coen Brothers movies, I don't think it has as much of a cult following.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie didn't do terrific.
No, I don't.
But
I don't
the soundtrack for that
the
movie
soundtrack of the movie is great.
blew up because it had like country songs on it or whatever, and everybody was like, "Country,
yeah,
I'm from America."
but country in an approachable way, right? Country in an approachable way, in the same way that their later movie that just came out a couple of years ago, shit fart poop. The one the guy Oscar Isaacs, is it Oscar Isaacs? He's going to be in the next Star Wars film. He was in it. I'm struggling. I cannot remember.
I don't know what movie you're talking about. What was it about?
It was about a singer-songwriter, and it was it had again a great soundtrack, but and I'm Inside Llewyn Davis.
I'd never even heard of that.
2013 was when it came out, and they
did stuff with. Oh yeah, I think I saw the trailer for that, but then like completely forgot about it.
Yeah, but that also a great soundtrack. A movie that is light on sort of light on plot sounds like a diss, but it's kind of just in the same way that the bootleg cut of Almost Famous, which is my preferred version to watch, is kind of what it's like to be on tour. In 1973, this was kind of like.
All right, hold on. What's the bootleg cut of Almost Famous?
The bootleg cut of Almost Famous was basically the director's cut, but it's 20, 30 minutes, maybe more like 15, 25 minutes extra footage, and it feels it's the same movie, but it feels a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more like, oh, I'm getting whisked away on this tour for these 3 weeks. This Inside Llewyn Davis to me felt sort of like this guy's aimless life as he's trying to make his way as a folk musician, and I dug it. I think it's a good flick, great soundtrack. The point there being that when you have someone who knows what they're doing in terms of putting together the soundtrack or whatever, I think that makes all the difference, because I'm not a huge country fan, but I love Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I'm not a huge... I do like some singer-songwriter, but a lot of the 60s singer-songwriter stuff that they were putting in Llewyn Davis, not a huge fan. I was going to transition to something else off of that, but I realized I've been talking...
Just do something ham-handed.
No. I was just going to say... Related to that,
I just don't have much to say about this movie. So
related to that, I've been listening to Apple Music for the last couple of days. We're recording on Thursday.
I just updated my phone and it didn't brick. So
yeah, it launched on Tuesday, and I was listening last night on a walk to the Beats One radio station, which is part of Apple Music. It's their 24/7. Always on music station, and the guy who was on is Ebro, I think his name is, DJ from New York, and he was playing a lot of hip hop and R&B, and I almost turned it off, but then I was like, I'm gonna chill with it for a second, and
wow, you're getting all urban on me.
I'm gonna hang out with it for a second. I don't know what
I'm gonna chill with this, man.
At any rate, he knew what the hell he was doing and played a good, string of interesting hip hop R&B stuff mixed with some popular stuff. He eventually got to Hendrix doing All Along the Watchtower, from an R&B song, and it made total sense.
So it was an actual DJ, not like just a disc jockey. Like
no, like a guy who knew what the hell he was doing, and I really appreciate that. Trent Reznor does the soundtracks for a lot of David Fincher films now, and he
Bent Raisin.
I'm gonna shut up. Because I have been speaking too long, but I'm really enjoying it. Stuff that I wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, what is the service? Because I didn't sign up for it.
Well, so you can get if you log into the music app that you would normally use.
Yeah.
You go in there, and it offers you basically a 3-month trial of a Spotify-like service where you can listen to any song you want.
Didn't like Taylor Swift have a fit
she
about
did.
it?
They responded, and she is on the service now. It's the only streaming service that actually offers her latest record because they went ahead and changed the payment schedule to be more. They were already going to eventually pay artists more, but during their 3-month free trial, they were not going to pay artists at all. And Taylor Swift was like, "Fuck no!" And a whole bunch of people came along with her. They responded. They said, "We will pay people during the trial." Taylor Swift got on board.
She's an attractive young lady, but she got stuff done for musicians, so that's good.
She did.
I don't know why me quantifying the fact that she's attractive had anything to do with her getting something done, but whatever.
Well, yes, whatever. So
because I'm a sexist, I think. I'm a terrible misogynist. She's just like a damsel in distress, and she needs
obviously
help.
Not.
Obviously, I'm making a joke here, but
she's the one that got all this shit done.
She's got some power.
Those
things don't work on water.
She's got some control. Make Janet Jackson happy.
Rhythm Nation?
Control. No, I think you're thinking of no.
Paula Abdul?
Yeah. The opposites attract.
What has MC Scat Cat been up to?
It's MC Cat on the Raps and Mike, and he has a little story, and I'm sure to like it. Swift and Swine. I'm playing it cool with my homegirl, Paula Abdul.
What are you doing?
I messed up.
Why do you know that?
I'm sorry, because I know all sorts of useless things.
That is something. That is a stretch.
That is a stretch.
Okay, so top of the list. The thing that we never got to.
What's that?
What else is what's on the bottom?
On the bottom, it's just one piece of follow up, and I guess now
one piece.
And I said it, so they really have to finish your drink.
You brought it up before I did.
One piece of follow up. It wasn't Dan. So we got some Twitter follow up. The photo from last episode.
It was just some nerdy guy.
Just some nerdy guy in glasses. It was not Dan. Oh well. Final thing on the list for
final
today.
Countdown.
It's the final countdown. No.
That was really good. What's on the list?
But also
no, I don't tell people things are bad.
Donald Trump was fired by NBA. You fired.
Oh, did they say it? Did they say it that way to him?
I don't think they said it that way, but every newscast that came out that day that was the.
That's why I hate the news.
You fired.
Okay, so Donald Trump, like as far as I know, like when I was a young person, I think I would see him on those shows like
Lifestyles of Rich and Famous.
No, like. It was like just what was the precursor to like the Extra and like the Hollywood
it was before Access Hollywood. It was like Entertainment Tonight. That was
the
one.
Like I think they were like Donald Trump's a rich person that lives in Atlantic City. Blah 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 blah. And then
his wife has a lot of shoes.
And there was like famous divorce or whatever.
Yes, I don't recall him from that. I do recall him from WrestleMania.
Which one?
4 and 5. 4 and 5.
Two of them.
It was the only.
I remember watching those, and I don't remember Donald Trump being there. I feel like we've had this conversation before.
Those two we did before the show. Fourth wall. he was on a lot of the lead up to at least 4, maybe not 5. And Trump Plaza.
Which one was 5 was Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan, right?
It was the Mega Powers.
The Mega Powers explode.
I thought it was Collide too.
Yeah.
See, I'm not insane, but I went and looked it up online. It was the Mega Powers explode. Steve just made a gesture. You can imagine whatever you want.
It was Mega Powers exploding.
Mega Powers were exploding out of Steve's pants.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 was Mega Powers Explode. 4 was the tournament where I forget exactly what led to this being the case, but the World Heavyweight Championship was vacant.
So they had
and they had
a
Royal
tournament. Rumble?
No, it was a what was really interesting about it
bracketed tournament?
A bracketed tournament was WrestleMania 4.
Oh,
so
I kind of want to go back and watch WrestleMania 4 now.
That was of the ones, 3 is memorable because it's where Hogan slams Andre the Giant
and hurts himself.
Yeah, but 4 is memorable because that was insane. They had I don't know if it was a Sweet 16 bracket, but it led up to basically you had somewhere along the line you had a Hogan Andre rematch, and then Hogan did not win, and I think the final was both of those guys might have gotten disqualified. The final was Macho Man versus Ted DiBiase.
The $1 Million Man. Was Virgil there too? I
believe Virgil was there.
That I don't know what the Twitter account name is, but it's like Sad Virgil or something like that. Do some research. Maybe you could put it in the show notes.
I will try.
But he still goes to all those wrestling conventions.
Yes,
and people just take pictures of him sitting alone at the table because it's not like he's with Ted DiBiase.
No, Ted DiBiase is
if it
dead.
Was he is.
Maybe not.
I think he's still alive.
He might be still alive.
Yeah, I don't think.
I thought he was one of those string.
There's a lot of them that are dead. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's one of the ones that's still alive.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah, he's dead.
Dead.
Wait, no, I think he might be alive. No,
he's
Jake
dead.
the Snake that's still alive.
Yeah, despite all odds.
Yeah,
and all heroin and coke and whatever.
And
else.
hanging out with the Iron Sheik.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I remember Donald Trump from those. I think they maybe did a little interview with him at the time or whatever it was. But 4 is definitely. I don't know where you could watch that.
They have a WrestleMania something on I think there's an app.
Yeah, I know there's a WWE.
I think,
app.
and I think that might have a Netflix
I think it does.
archive.
You gotta pay.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe if you could pay for a month and watch WrestleMania 4, it'd be worth it.
Maybe we should do that, and then we'll have we can do a live show of us watching WrestleMania 4 and just being oh Jesus! I think that might be kind of funny.
Yeah,
I'll pay for it if
pay
necessary.
For it? Yeah. Well, good, because right now I have no money anywhere, including whatever. I'm not getting.
Not in the mattress either.
Not in the mattress. I got nothing in the mattress. Nothing between the sheets. That's not true.
I'm sorry.
No. But so yeah, Donald Trump fired by NBC. Fired by.
I mean, as much as I despise reality television. I didn't mind watching that stupid Apprentice show.
I think they'll have another one. They'll just have somebody else.
Oh, okay.
I think NBC owns The Apprentice, but it just won't be with Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
And is it an overreaction? I mean, is it an overreaction to what he said?
What did he say? What does he hate?
He made some disparaging remarks about Mexicans.
Really? That's not. Oh, that's surprising.
That is surprising.
This rich white man said something.
He talked about them mostly being rapists and things of that nature.
I'm going to vote in the primary. I'm voting for him.
And he said
because I am undeclared, so I can vote in either.
Are you're going to vote for him?
I'm going to vote for him
in the nomination.
Yes.
and lose to
whoever. I don't care who he loses to.
The other day I saw something about Bernie Sanders. It is Bernie Sanders. We did
this research
in a previous episode.
Wasn't there a Bernie something on the Yankees though? Bernie
something. Yeah, it was Bernie something.
Okay, that's maybe who I was thinking of. I was mixing Bernie, the guy on the Yankees, and Deion Sanders up.
Yeah, and
just their names, not because they're black.
No, that's what Donald Trump does. He mixes them up just like they're black.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders being referred to as an independent from Vermont, but I thought he was running for the Democratic nomination. Maybe he still is, even though he's technically...
Yeah, he might have to just be like, oh, I'm just going to put on this hat.
Yeah. And it seems like his rallies are getting bigger, which is promising. Whether or not you like Bernie Sanders,
I don't know. I'd like to go to one, but like I think all the pot smoke would get me a contact high, and
that would be bad.
I wouldn't be able to go to work.
Yeah, can't do that. Yeah, so poor old Donald Trump.
Poor old Donald Trump.
Poor old Donald Trump and his toupee.
Like the ones that I had watched of The Apprentice were like the ones when Penn Jillette was on.
Yeah,
and
Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah, like I never watched the real people.
One. Yeah.
Because it's just not as entertaining. No, what was it? The one with Gary Busey. That was good.
Anything with Gary Busey is
Gary Busey was good, and unfortunately, he was only on for 1 week. But the one with Dice Clay.
Oh, really?
Ugh. He would have been so good if he hadn't gotten fired the first week. Is
it surprising that he was fired the first week?
Andrew Dice Clay is fucking bonkers. That guy is nuts. Like, if you watch Ford Fairlane, that's how he thinks of himself.
Really
as Mr. Rock and Roll Detective.
See, my one exposure to him outside of hearing random clips played for me on YouTube by my cousin years and years later was Casual Sex. That was my exposure to Dice Clay.
He was in that Woody Allen movie recently, too.
And Dice Clay might not be the most nuts person in that movie.
In the Woody Allen movie?
No, in Casual Sex.
Oh, who else was in it?
The blonde woman from Saturday Night Live. God.
Sherry O'Terry?
No, I'll find it out. But what was the...
Ford Fairlane?
Yeah.
You've never seen the Adventures of Ford Fairlane?
I don't know if I have. Victoria Jackson.
Yes, she's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to see the Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
I mean, maybe I saw bits of it. Does that
you have to see the entire... this
is
is one of those things, like, sit down with a cocktail and watch Ford Fairlane.
Oh, in my copious spare time.
Yes.
I will do that. Why should I watch it?
Because it's great.
Because it's Dice Clay.
I think one of your kids is crying, so maybe we should wrap it up.
Maybe we should wrap it up. Wrap it up.
49.
49. If you want the show notes for the episode, you can find them at clarkwoods.com/hot/49. If you want me for this episode or for anything else, you can reach me at ECC1977 on Twitter.
And you can reach me on Twitter at TuesdayIsLoser. That's Tuesday IS Loser, all one word. And you can email us at hot@clarkwoods.com.
Sure can. And now is the part where we would say something funny. I don't know if my daughter is still crying, but...
but I'm not crying.
That's good.
Thanks.